Hey everyone, and welcome to this video. In this video I want to tell you my favorite fun weapons to play with when I randomly PvP. This is in a top 10 list because everyone loves top 10 lists, me included, and I will just give you my weapons that I like to play with randomly when I don't play for any purpose, just to get better in the game. Those are not especially ranked after how good they are, not of how bad they are, how unusual they are, just general tips from my side. So let's already get started. Number 10. The Crescent Axe. The Crescent Axe is a fun weapon since it has a lot of potential in outspacing your opponent, and it has a nice crit damage. It's relatively easy to play with since you really just have to spam run attacks one-handed if you want to compete with good players. And for fun you can also use the spin to win all the more shitty attacks of the weapon. Against panic rolls, press R2 and you will catch them. So the Crescent Axe is really never really used in PvP. It's also not like one of the best weapons, but it's fun. And that's what this list is about. So I have a PvP session linked in the description where I use it, so you can check that out. Number 9. The Crescent Sickle. The Crescent Sickle is one of the Reapers with that moveset that has like those sweeping R1s, which I like actually more since you can like spin around pretty flashy and then angle the attack in the other direction, and it has a hitbox all over the place. And it's pretty hard to play with this weapon. I generally play without recuff cancels. That means I'm pretty punishable for all my attacks, and that's what makes this challenging and fun to fight with. Since you also have the one-handed run attacks with a good amount of damage and reach, that are the Halberd run attacks, and the two-handed roll attacks, which are also like a Halberd, but instead of other Halberds, the R1s, two-handed especially, are very useful. So this weapon is more of a challenge to play with, but pretty nice to try out. Number 8. The Black Dragon Warpick. The general Warpicks and like Aldia's hammer and stuff, all those weapons, also Reinforced Club, all with the hammer moveset, are pretty cool to play with since they do a ton of damage on crits and on normal hits and have a guaranteed R1, R1 and R2, R2 stun lock on all attacks. But it's pretty hard to hit people with since they have such low reach and are pretty, like, not really slow, but slower in general. So nice for a challenge, and you can build up pretty high damage with those with 1 or 2 catches and combos. So pretty rewarding weapon in general, and you never see those used in PvP. The Warpick especially has a really high reach in like comparison to the other hammer class weapons, and works with the Leo Ring and Rob Flynn and minimum stats, so use that if you want to. Number 7. The Greatsword. The Greatsword is a great weapon that every noob uses. It's not actually that great in good PvP, but it has a shit ton of reach. Really, that reach of this thing is insane. And it's generally pretty hard to kill good opponents with it. But then again, the damage is pretty high. If you get crits with it, it's insane. And the R1s, the sweep R1s, in comparison to the Lost Sinner R1s, which are like the overhead slams, are actually more useful in my opinion. And the roll attacks and stuff with the insane reach make this weapon very fun to fight with. So yeah, I recommend trying it out. Number 6. The Bewitched Alonne sword. The Greatsword katana stuff weapon, the spear thing that is pretty really underused. It was very common when it first got released with the DLC, but now nobody uses it. but I got into it through Evil Samurai that used it in the Scorbrand tourney, and I tried it out and it's really fun to play with. You have like the run attacks of the spears, the roll attacks of one-handed katana and two-handed greatsword, and you have 150 counter damage. You have R1s that chain well from the run attacks and R roll catches with counter hit damage multiplier. So, and the reach is also great. The tracking leaves much to be desired, but in general, pick this up. This is really fun to play with. Number 5. The Thorned Greatsword. The Thorned Greatsword has, in my opinion, one of the best greatsword movesets. It has the one-handed normal greatsword R1s, and the R2 is the overhead slam, which is pretty cool since it has a projectile. And that's really the usage of that. Press R2 if the opponent dodges, just delay and press another R2 that shoots another projectile. Just good for finishing opponents. The two-handed moveset is the Mirror Greatsword one, and it's pretty cool since it catches opponents who roll around you pretty well. And overall, pretty high damaging weapon, pretty fun weapon, but not OP, and like that's why I like it like it is. So try that out if you want to play with a decent and a bit unusual greatsword for a change. Number 4. The Halberd, or any other Halberd. But the Halberd, like the normal Halberd in general, is pretty fun since it's so standard what you would think, but overall, if you look at it, it's a pretty decent weapon. It has a really low weight for halberds, it has a great reach, which most halberds have, it has a okay sweet spot, good crit damage, and really low requirements. The Scythe Halberd would generally be better from stats, but I don't like how it looks. So for a change, try to play with the total standard Halberd from time to time. It doesn't need to be a Mastodon, just a normal Halberd. If you want to have a change. I certainly do like. So, yeah. Number 3. The Dragonslayer Spear. This is really not an uncommon weapon, but it's an hell of a fun weapon to play with. I only use this weapon to swap to when I get annoyed against an meta weapon player that is pretty good in the game, so I couldn't counter him with bad weapons and I want to actually be competitive, so I swap to the Dragonslayer Spear. The hitbox is insane, the reach is insane, the moveset is great, and yeah, the requirements are okayish, but I most times have the faith to wield it, and the damage is great, and yeah, Dragonslayer Spear. A really, really fucking great spear. If you want to cheese a bit. Tip, just press R1 two-handed all the time, and swap between two-handed and one-handed run attacks. And yeah, if you catch them in a two-handed R1, just follow it up, it's guaranteed, and get to wreck your opponent. Number 2. The Curved Nil Greatsword. The Curved Nil Greatsword is a very fun weapon because it's not actually that bad, especially if you use it with a bit of poise or stuff when you can trade. It has a nice crit damage, it is pretty good in a Robflin build, and it has a good moveset. It reminds of the Murakumo from Dark Souls 1, and it's guaranteed R1, two-handed and one-handed stun lock is pretty nice. Also, if you two-handed and press L2, you won't do a unnecessary Murakumo parry, but you will do a slower version of the normal run attack, which is great to finish your opponent if you just run at him like you normally do if you're playing like top tierish. Just spam run attacks. Run at your opponent, press L2 instead of R1 for the run attack, and they will roll like they would dodge the normal run attack and get hit because it's far slower like that. That's just fucking great to feint your opponent like that. So pretty damn fun weapon. You see me playing with that a lot in some videos maybe. Alright, and there we are at number 1, the Drakekeeper's Greataxe. The Drakekeeper's Greataxe hits like a truck. It has the King's Ultra Greatsword R1s with a good reach and a guaranteed stagger. It has the two-handed R1s of the King's Ultra Greatsword 2, which with a bit more reach, I think. It has a nice hammer run attack, which is nice to like outspace opponents two-handed, and one-handed it has not the King's Ultra Greatsword unnecessary spin run attack, but the axe like run attack, which is not that useful, but it's great to follow up with an R1. In general, the two-handed R2 is so great for opponents who roll somewhere in your direction because it comes out super fast. And the follow-up is a spin to win. If they want to punish you for it, just trade with them. You will win. So this weapon is great for a change because it's so unusual. Nobody uses this thing, and it's seriously a good weapon. A fun weapon. And yeah, you can easily build up to 800 damage with a two-handed R1 combo. So try this definitely out sometime. You won't be disappointed. If you don't like it at first, then go with a bit of poise and high physical and elemental defense and trade with it. You can trade with katanas with this thing, no joke. So use this for a change if you want. It's seriously fun to fight with. And yeah, that I think concludes my top 10 small senseless top 10 of fun weapons to play with for a change. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Post your weapons that you like in the comments, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.